Somebody was asking about base defense. This is obviously going to be a very important topic. I imagine it's something they'll talk about on the Q&A we're about to watch. This is key. Base defense is... In high security systems, you won't really have to worry about this, but in low security, they're going to have to give players a lot of ways to defend themselves, including, I imagine, NPCs. At the very least, some kind of AI that will spawn in and fly to the base to help defend it. The more and more passive defenses you can have, the better.
One of the big questions that folks had, we're of course on our journey to 4.0 right now. Folks are watching the PTU for the next wave and release and the eventual publication of 4.0. The big question I saw probably most commonly after CitizenCon was, how does all this work with shards?
There we go. You knew it was going to happen.
This is a big one indeed. I think I saw this asked 20 odd times.
Yeah.
So the plan is that every base, every plot of land, every extraction pot will be visible across all the shards within a region. And then a lot of the functionality of the base will also be...
Whoa. Wait a second. That was a little detail he said there.
Across all the shards within a region.
Within a region. I don't think we've heard that before. That's also the insinuation that they will... I mean, you don't have to read into every word that comes out of devs' mouths, but that is an insinuation that we will have multiple shards per region, which I think everybody is kind of thinking is going to have like one shard per region, even on its own, is kind of wild. You know, one shard for the world is crazy. One shard per region is also kind of wild. Could that mean, there's multiple shards per region? So you will be, your bases will be in that region. But if you say go from the US region of shards, let's say there's 5 shards per each region, right? You got US East, US West, US South, US Central, US North, whatever. If you go from US West to US East, your base is still there. But if you go from US West to Australia West, then your base is not there, is what maybe it sounds like. There are definitely things that are being revealed right now with the project that are showing that server meshing will not carry this to the ultimate goal of one massive environment that everybody's working in. They're aiming for whatever they can get farthest in. And that probably means scaling some things back. And one of those things is possibly multiple shards per the region. Maybe that's just a midpoint thing that they're doing. Maybe this guy is misspeaking. But at least... that's what I would base my understanding off of, is you will actually be able to get to these locations in other shards and there will be nothing there, which is something we talked about when we were going over the last presentation. People were worried about, will you be able to camp land on a different shard where you have nothing to do with that people can't use? No, not if you're in a different region, it sounds like.
With shards.
Yep, this is
really
a big
important
one
answer
indeed.
to start
I
with.
saw this asked 20 odd times. So the plan is that every base, every plot of land, every extraction pot will be visible across all the shards within a region. And then a lot of the functionality of the base will also be available across all the shards within a region. So if I make a base and I set up a shop, people on other shards can come visit and use my shop. The exception is going to be raiding and attacking a base. This can only occur on a single shard, and which shard that is dynamic based on the rule set. The easiest rule is always, is the owner online? Then the raid can only occur on that owner's shard. This means that if I'm on another shard and I rock up with a gun and I shoot the base, it'll prompt me, you'll have to change shard in order to attack this base.
Whoa. Okay. So I'm glad they've clarified that as well. I don't know how I feel. This wasn't a super big sticking point for me, how bases would work in terms of raiding online and off. But I did think that it would be a nice... It would be nice to allow somebody who wants the experience of your base always being in danger, or like wants that sort of nervousness that comes with having a base in a valuable place and needing to have your org figured out how to defend it certain times. Seemed like a nice bit of strategy to build into the game for groups and people who are looking for that gameplay, versus high security locations that would allow you to know for certain that you're not going to get attacked unless maybe you're online or you're there or something like that, or you're just not going to get attacked at all. Like, I feel like maybe high security, you're not going to get attacked. Mid security, you're only going to get attacked while you're online. Low security, anybody might attack you at any point, and you kind of have to plan for that. That in itself seemed like gameplay for people. So the idea of making it so that your base is basically invulnerable while you're in offline, and somebody shoots it and they get like a pop-up on their screen. Imagine dropping a bomb on the base of your worst enemy after you finally found them. You drop this gigantic A2 bomb. You spent 40,000 credits buying it. You're like, yes, 2 days to find this base. We've finally done it. You drop the bomb, it hits the base, and a pop-up comes up. They're like, you can't do that. It's not super Star Citizen in design, or I think what people were really used to, but it sounds like a pretty tough reality of trying to make base building work with this environment. I don't know. I think people will have very strong opinions on this one way or another. I'm glad that this is getting clarified right now and talked about, and I think it's good because people were just completely confused about how base building would work with this, but you have to be in the same shard online at the same time to attack somebody's base. If you're in a different shard in the same region, you can go to that base, trade, interact with it, all that stuff. You can't damage it, but you can do stuff. I wonder if when you get to that base on the other shard, once you enter it, the game match makes you and transfers you to that shard to interact with those people. And then once you leave that base, it puts you on the other shard. If that's the way that it works, I'm guessing it'll be something like that. And then in order to attack a base, you can't even be in the region. You have to be in the actual shard as well. It's an interesting way to do it. Limiting the attacks is I don't know. Let's keep listening and see how this is going to go.
Obviously, as shards increase, we see this less and less. But the advantage of that is that you'll never be in this scenario where your shard, you're not able to defend your base. You'll always be able to defend your base in this scenario.
And if you're offline or there's a representation of your base in another shard, it's basically just a visual replica in those places.
Yeah, but people can also still use it. So the shops will still be functioning, that kind of thing. It's just when it comes to attacking, it all has to occur on a single shard.
Interesting. And I can already...
I mean, I'm okay with it with attacking occurring on a single shard. I don't know about saying that it can't be attacked if you're offline.
You see half the comments already in response to that answer. There's still a road ahead between now and the release of base building and crafting. I promise you we will revisit this topic with more and more context on how that will work as server meshing comes online and the technology continues to evolve. As with everything, there's a plan today. As the technology progresses, that may change or evolve over time, but that's the current implementation that we're working towards, and you can guarantee we'll be talking about it again between now and the release. What will this look like this is just a follow-up. So how will this look like in terms of offline raiding and base defenses? Is there any aspect of this, if I just don't log in, is my stuff just always safe? Did
they make comments about this before? I'd actually be interested in hearing more about that, because I think I didn't actually know what their plans were in terms of base vulnerability.
Timer? Is there some danger? How do you get rid of old decrepit bases that are just abandoned?
Yeah, so if you are in the scenario where your base is in a lawless area and you haven't secured the planetary shield tech from the previous week's station warfare, then you are open to be raided whether you're online or offline.
Okay. Okay. All right then.
You can create your own defenses to deter that. You will be able to create your own.
So you can still get that kind of gameplay in a low security area. That I wish they. Yeah, see, that's why it's good to listen and see where it goes, because that is good to know. As long as they're still offering the ability for you to get into that, and now you go to the next step of, okay, how often, like, how much is that planetary shield thing gonna get involved with this? Is it going to be on every single planet that is lawless, or is this something specific to Pyro and Nyx? How does that work? But I'm really glad to hear that at least with low security systems, you can be attacked while offline. That's important, because yes, they don't want the whole game to be space rust. This isn't Citizen Rust or anything, but survival aspects, hardcore aspects of this game, the ability for players to deal with consequences and need to strategize around those consequences is super important, and they need to keep including that in this game. And I was really worried that they actually weren't taking that into account there. But if it's still possible in no security areas, I think that's a good thing. We'll still have to see how this goes. A lot of things and details can change with this. It can play very interestingly, and the game overall is clearly changing a little bit to fit how this is going to work. But we'll see.
Shielding, which forces them into a ground assault, walls to delay the ground assault, turrets and such, and then it could be the case where they're raiding the base and they don't actually know what's available to loot. They don't know what's in your storage, so it would be wise to occasionally take your valuables out of the Lawless area and haul them back to a more safer spot like Terra or Stanton. But if you find yourself open like that, you can be raided.